The HOA kidnapped a black man's children, Nathan Cole. Yes, you heard that right. They, HOA, actually took them, claiming he had violated their so-called community rules. Their justification? They insisted he had illegally purchased a home in a 55-plus neighborhood. But he hadn't. His lawyer had already proven his property wasn't under their jurisdiction. What the HOA didn't realize was that Nathan wasn't just another homeowner, he was a federal judge. And by pulling this stunt, they had just made the worst legal mistake of their lives. The morning started like any other. Coffee brewing, smell of toast filling the kitchen, Ethan and Maya chatting about their soccer game. Nathan was reviewing case notes when he heard papers slide through the mail slot. Another HOA notice. He sighed, expecting another petty complaint. But when he unfolded the paper, his breath caught in his throat. Final warning. You are in violation of HOA residency requirements. Immediate eviction required. All unauthorized minors must be removed from the premises within 24 hours. Failure to comply will result in further action. Have you ever seen an HOA go so far as to target children? Before we go on, what country or city are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where you're tuning in from. And if you believe any HOA twisted enough to kidnap kids should be crushed without mercy, smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc. Nathan frowned, his pulse quickening. Unauthorized minors? He reread the line carefully. His home, a 3-bedroom colonial, was outside the HOA's community boundaries. When he bought it, he had made certain with his lawyer that it wasn't under their authority. He even had county zoning maps to prove it. Yet these busybodies were now accusing him of violating their so-called age restriction rule, claiming no one under 55 was allowed to live there. Frustrated, Nathan tossed the letter onto the counter and grabbed his phone. As soon as his attorney answered, he said firmly, "Marcus, we have a problem. The HOA is trying to evict my kids." Marcus Hale sighed. "We went through this during closing. Your property isn't under their control. It's just intimidation. I'll send a cease and desist today." That should have been the end of it, a minor annoyance, another overstep by a power-hungry HOA. But Nathan had no idea how far these people were willing to go. The following day, when Nathan Cole returned home, an eerie silence greeted him. No laughter, no clattering of dishes, no sound of video games, just stillness. Dread clawed at his chest. "Ethan? Maya!" he called, rushing inside. The house was completely empty. His gut twisted when he spotted their backpacks by the door, untouched since that morning. Their sneakers were still neatly lined up. Something was terribly wrong. Heart-pounding, Nathan snatched out his phone and dialed his son's number. Straight to voicemail. He tried Maya's. Same result. His panic hardened into ice. He quickly called their friend's parents. Nobody had seen them. Hands trembling, he punched in 911. The dispatcher's voice was calm but firm. "Sir, are you reporting a missing persons case?" "Yes," Nathan croaked, throat dry. "My 2 children, they're gone." The next 2 hours blurred together. Officers swarmed his house, combing every corner, pressing him with questions. "When did you last see your kids?" one asked. "Did you notice anything out of place?" Another demanded. "Do you have any enemies who might target them?" Nathan had many, criminals he'd put behind bars, but none had ever dared to come near his family. Then one officer standing by his mailbox frowned. "Sir, we found this." He held up another HOA letter, taped to the door. Nathan's hand clenched as he snatched it. His eyes raced across the words. "As your unauthorized tenants have failed to vacate, the HOA has taken steps to ensure compliance. Your children will be kept in a safe location until this matter is resolved." His vision went red with fury. The officers read over his shoulder, their faces shifting from confusion to horror. Did your HOA just admit to kidnapping your children?" one asked, disbelief thick in his voice. Nathan's hands shook, but his tone stayed measured. "Yes, and they have no idea who they've crossed." The search launched instantly. Police spread through the neighborhood, knocking on doors, questioning board members. Suddenly, nobody seemed to know anything. Then Mrs. Langford, the elderly neighbor, pulled Nathan aside. Her voice trembled. "Judge Cole, I saw 2 men in suits this morning. They put your kids in a black SUV. They didn't look scared, but they didn't look happy either." Nathan's pulse roared. "Where did they go?" "They drove toward the HOA clubhouse," she said softly, eyes full of fear. That was all Nathan needed. He turned to the officers. "We're going there. Now." Police escorted Nathan Cole as he stormed through the HOA clubhouse doors. Behind a massive mahogany desk sat Diana Crow, the self-appointed president of this power-hungry association. She smiled, smug and composed, like a snake basking in its own arrogance. Ah, Judge Cole, I was expecting you, she purred, adjusting her pearl necklace. Rage boiled in Nathan's chest. He slammed the letter down onto her desk, his voice shaking with fury. Where are my children? Diana tilted her head, feigning innocence. Your illegal tenants have been relocated to a more suitable environment until this matter is resolved. The officers beside Nathan exchanged uneasy glances. He forced himself to keep breathing evenly. That's kidnapping, he said, his tone dangerously low. Do you realize what you've done? Diana's eyes gleamed with false superiority. Oh, please, don't be dramatic. They're at a board-approved interim guardianship facility while we finalize their removal. Nathan's fingernails dug into his palms. This lunatic actually believed her own words. His jaw clenched as he growled each syllable. Where are they? He knew if he didn't control himself, he might have snapped her neck right there. Diana let out a breathy laugh. Somewhere safe. Now I suggest you stop causing a scene, Judge Cole. The HOA has rules. Rules are rules. Rules? She had stolen his children, and she was talking about rules. But Diana had made a fatal mistake, thinking she held the upper hand. Nathan turned to the officers. You heard her. She just admitted to detaining minors without consent. The lead officer, a man clearly seasoned in dealing with HOA nonsense, but never on this scale, straightened his posture. Mrs. Crow, if you don't tell us where the children are right now, you'll be charged with felony unlawful detainment, conspiracy, and endangerment of minors. Diana's smugness faltered, but she tried to hold her ground. This is a civil matter, officer. We're merely enforcing community standards. Shut your mouth, Nathan snapped, his rage finally breaking through. I'm a federal judge, you lunatic. Do you really think I don't know the law? This isn't civil. This is kidnapping, federal kidnapping. Diana's confidence cracked. She licked her lips nervously, stammering, I. Before she could finish, one of the officers moved behind her and pulled out handcuffs. Mrs. Crow, you're under arrest for unlawful detainment. Wait, she screeched, thrashing as the cuffs locked around her wrists. They're at Northbridge Academy. Nathan didn't wait another second. He bolted. Nathan Cole tore through the streets like a madman, tires screeching with every turn. The speed limit meant nothing. Red lights blurred past him as police sirens wailed close behind. His knuckles turned white on the steering wheel, his heart pounding like a war drum. His children were at Northbridge Academy, and nothing else mattered. The HOA thought they could snatch his kids and treat them like property, as if they were listed in some ridiculous rule book. They had no clue what they had set in motion. The second Nathan pulled into the school's parking lot, he threw his car into park and jumped out before the engine had even shut down. Officers rushed past him toward the entrance, weapons ready. His mind raced with every possible lie they might have used to justify this. Fraudulent charges, bogus paperwork, it didn't matter. This wasn't enforcement. This was kidnapping, pure and simple. And Nathan was about to make sure every single person involved paid for it. Inside the front office, a frazzled principal in his 60s stepped forward, sputtering as uniformed officers flooded the lobby. What is the meaning of this? Sir, the lead officer said firmly, holding up the HOA's notice, do you have 2 children here under the custody of the Ravenwood Estates HOA? The principal blinked in confusion. Oh, yes! Where are they? Nathan cut in, his voice cold as ice. The man swallowed hard and motioned toward a back hallway. Room 214. Nathan didn't wait for further explanation. He bolted down the corridor, his shoes pounding the tile, blood roaring in his ears. Room 214. Room 214. He reached the door and shoved it open so hard it banged against the wall. There they were, Ethan and Maya, sitting at desks, frightened but unharmed. A woman in a stiff navy suit stood beside them, her eyes widening as Nathan stormed inside. Who the hell are you? She snapped, stepping between him and his children. Nathan ignored her, rushing forward and pulling both kids into his arms. Dad, Maya sobbed, clinging to his shirt. We didn't know what was happening. They just took us. It's okay, baby, Nathan whispered, holding her tight. Ethan wrapped his arms around him too, his small body trembling. Nathan swore in that moment he'd burn the world down to keep them safe. The woman in the navy suit cleared her throat, still convinced she had authority. Mr. Cole, you have no right to be here. These children were placed under temporary HOA guardianship. Shut up! Nathan's voice was so low, so venomous. The room froze. Officers stormed in behind him. Ma'am, step away from the children, one commanded. She scoffed. You don't understand. The HOA has legal grounds. You are not the government, Nathan snapped, his fury spilling out. You are not the police. You're not even a recognized legal authority, and you sure as hell don't have the right to detain minors. Her lips parted, ready to argue again, but Nathan turned sharply to the officer. Arrest her! The lead cop didn't hesitate. Ma'am, you're under arrest for unlawful detainment and conspiracy to commit kidnapping. What? This is absurd, she shrieked, but her words cut off as the officer spun her around and cuffed her wrists. Nathan pulled his kids closer, shielding them as she screamed. This is an outrage. We are a legal governing body. No, Nathan spat, his glare burning through her. You're a glorified neighborhood watch with a power complex, and you're about to learn what real legal power looks like. By the time Nathan got his kids home, the fallout had begun. Board members scrambled, but it was too late. Diana Crow was already in jail for kidnapping and conspiracy. Nathan called Marcus. Get the paperwork ready. We're taking the HOA down, not just civil charges. I want criminal indictments across the board. Wire fraud, illegal detainment, conspiracy, abuse of power, racketeering, all of it. Marcus let out a low whistle. You're going for the kill. They kidnapped my children, Nathan said coldly. They thought they could get away with it. I don't just want them fined, I want them destroyed. The very next morning, Nathan filed an official federal lawsuit against the Ravenwood Estates HOA. The charges were brutal, naming every board member who had signed off on his children's removal. Each one now faced federal charges that would keep them chained to a courtroom for years. But Nathan Cole wasn't finished. Filing the lawsuit was only the beginning. He had resources that the HOA could never imagine. With Marcus's help, he pulled every financial document tied to the Ravenwood Estates HOA. Subpoenas hit their bank accounts, their internal emails, their so-called legal fees, and what he uncovered was gold. For years, the board had been embezzling money from residents. Fraudulent fines, fake maintenance charges, shell companies funneling cash directly into the board members' pockets. It wasn't just overreach. It was a criminal enterprise. Nathan stared at the proof laid out before him, fury mixing with grim satisfaction. They hadn't just kidnapped his kids. They had been stealing from every single family in the neighborhood for nearly a decade. 2 days later, Marcus called, barely able to keep his laughter contained. You're not going to believe this, he said. Diana's lawyer reached out. She's trying to negotiate a plea deal. Nathan's eyes narrowed. What's she offering? She'll admit to the kidnapping if we drop the financial fraud charges. Nathan let out a cold, humorless chuckle. Absolutely not. I want all of them in prison. And that's exactly what happened. 2 weeks later, the entire HOA collapsed. Every board member was indicted on multiple counts of fraud, conspiracy, and unlawful detainment. Diana herself was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. The HOA was permanently disbanded, and every single illegal fine they had ever issued was refunded, with damages added on top. If you believe every corrupt HOA should face the same fate, hit like and subscribe to Story Arc, because abuse of power only ends when justice makes them pay.